Hey, what's up guys? Juheun here. Thanks for checking out my video. This is a quick run through of my current DJ setup and how I play. So let's get right into it. I've got an Allen & Heath Zone 96 DJ mixer that I've got my laptop connected to via USB. On my MacBook Air, I currently have Native Instruments Traktor Pro DJ software as well as the Maschine drum machine software. On my mixer right now, I've got both deck A coming out of channel 2 and deck B coming out of channel 3 on the DJ mixer, and my Maschine drum machine software is coming out of channel 4 on the DJ mixer. Everything is currently connected via USB that allows me to access the sound card or interface within the Zone 96 DJ mixer, so I don't have to carry around a sound card or interface to my gigs anymore. All right, so let's talk about the Zone K2 and how I currently have it mapped to Traktor and Maschine. I'm able to control functions both on Traktor and Maschine simultaneously using this controller. It's got tons and tons of functionality as far as where you can map things to multiple pages, the ability to have faders, knobs, and buttons all together. It makes for a great package and all-in-one controller. This controller also houses its own sound card and allows you to have both left and right RCA output. So you can use this as an interface if you wanted to. You'll notice I currently have this connected to my Zone 96 DJ mixer using an Ethernet cable and X-Link. You can connect this using any type of USB cable as well directly to your computer if you'd like. But because we're using the Zone 96, it's got the X-Link functionality. So currently, because I have it connected to my laptop using the USB, I can connect my K2 using Ethernet, and it will all communicate using that single USB to my laptop. Makes things so much easier. All right, so let's take a look at the K2 and how I currently have it all laid out. If you guys take a look here on the lower half of the K2, I've got these buttons mapped to some basic functions within Traktor. The left portion of this is all going to control functions on deck A. Everything on the right side is going to control functions on deck B. And keep in mind, we're only talking about this lower half of the controller right now. These two knobs here at the bottom I've got mapped to my browser. So I can go ahead and scroll through my browser, push down to load a track into deck A. I'm going to turn up the volume on deck A on the mixer here. And we'll go through the different functions that I've got mapped here. So this green button here is going to be my play for the track. I've got a cue button here. I've got some basic functions like sync and nudge also mapped to the lower half of the controller here. And I even have a reverse button here that lets me do a little reverse action during my sets. The same thing goes over to the right side of the controller here, and it's just identical except it's for deck B. So that way I can go ahead and do the same things like cue, play, reverse, nudge, load, and scroll through my browser just on deck B on the right hand side. Over here on the right far side of the K2 controller, I've got mapped to my different effects within the Traktor software. So currently I'm only using 3 effects out of Traktor. I've got reverb, beat masher, and gator. And I've got my dry and wet currently mapped to this fader right here. So what this allows me to do is I can go ahead and feed my audio from either deck A or B into these 3 different effects. So let me go ahead and demonstrate that real quick. We'll start off with reverb up here at the top. I'm going to start the track over. I'm going to turn up my dry and wet, turn on reverb. Let's do masher. I've got Gator. And you can actually turn on each effect. We'll do Masher and Gator at the same time. And you can actually just use your dry and wet knob to send a signal. And that makes for some cool combinations for some of the effects within Traktor. Let's talk about this left section here for these 3 faders over here. They're currently mapped to my Maschine Micro. And this allows me to be able to control effects within individual groups of sounds inside of my Maschine Micro. Currently on my Micro, I've got groups hi-hats, snares, percussion, and I've even got some effects like risers and uplifters and things like that. Now inside of my Maschine Micro, I've got some hi-hats currently laid out. Let's go ahead and hear that. I'm going to turn the volume down on the Traktor here, and we'll turn up channel 4 within the mixer so you guys can hear those hi-hats right there. So over here on the left hand side from the faders on up, these are all going to be my effects. We've already covered the Traktor effects on the far right hand side. So 1, 2, and 3 faders, these are dedicated completely to the Maschine and my drum samples. So right now we've got some hi-hats that are currently programmed, and what we're going to do is we're going to apply some effects to those hi-hats by bringing up the send and return. And within each of these different channels here, I've got 3 different effects that are all mapped to these send and returns in individual groups within the Maschine. So let's start off over here on the left hand side. These 3 knobs, mix, time, and size. This is going to have to do with the reverb on the Maschine Micro. So go ahead and turn up the mix. And you can hear that reverb effect really working there. I've got my beat delay here on the second set of knobs here, so I'll turn up the mix. With the feedback at the top, my time divisions here in the middle, and I've got my mix here at the bottom. And since this is a send and return, you can actually have the effect kind of trail off once I bring down that fader for that certain group of sounds. The third group of effects or knobs right here that I've got mapped out are going to be to flanger within my drums again. So I'll turn up the hat, send and return, and I'll turn up the mix. And we got frequency, and we got feedback. And any of these 3 effects can be combined. So let's bring in some of this beat delay here. And we've got reverb over here. And I'm going to demonstrate this with some of my other groups. Let's go into the snare group here. And we'll go ahead and lay out a couple snare samples there. And if I turn up the dry and wet or the send and return on the snare channel here on the K2, and since everything is synced to my Traktor, this is what's really important. You know, you got to have everything synced so that way your drum sounds, your tracks coming out of Traktor itself are all in time, so things don't start to sound really wonky and crazy, right? So I can bring up, let's say deck B here. I've already got this loaded up. So that's channel 3 on the mixer. So the final mappings that I have on here are going to be these top 4 knobs. And these top 4 knobs are simply dedicated to the loop functions within Traktor Pro. So the far right knob at the very top is going to allow me to activate and also select the different divisions of loops that I can go ahead and apply. And it's a simple press of the button to activate it. And then the knob, when I turn it, can increase or shorten the size of your loop. Let's go ahead and load another track into deck A over here. And we'll go ahead and cue it up. Press play. And I'm going to go ahead and loop a section. And the 2 top knobs on the inside allow me to move my loop throughout my track. So if I turn this knob, I'm going to scroll through the track with my loop. And I can find all the good bits that I might want to loop throughout the track here. And I can exit the loop just by pushing down. Alright, so that's pretty much, you know, how my whole DJ setup is currently put together. Again, Traktor Pro is my main software that allows me to play tracks. Then I have Maschine that has the Maschine microcontroller here to allow me to add some drum samples and kind of get creative with some layering here. And then the Zone K2 as my main controller that lets me control all the functions within Traktor Pro, like effects, as well as the Maschine Micro to be able to control the effects within that. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments below. I love reading all of your guys' feedback on these videos, so thank you very much. As an added bonus, what I'm going to do in the info down below, I'm going to go ahead and include my TSI custom mapping for the Zone K2, so that way you guys can download it if you have a Zone K2, plug the TSI file into Traktor Pro, and you can map both the Maschine and Traktor Pro's functions straight to the K2 as I have. And the cool thing is, you know, it's open source. So if you feel like, you know what, maybe I don't like this here, I want to move it over here, or, you know, maybe some of these functions down here you might not need, you can go ahead and customize that TSI file however you want. Thanks again for joining me today. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, guys, at Juheun Music. And if you guys have any other questions, again, DM me, send me a message. I'll be glad to get to you guys and be able to answer all of your questions. Thank you so much, guys.